The most bipartisan impeachment vote in American history. But 10 votes short of conviction. So Trump gets acquitted again.
I believe the Senate was right not to grab power the Constitution doesn't give us.
I'm Tim. I was a Republican strategist my whole career. But then this racist asshole crashed my party. And most of my old friends went along with it. All the way off the deep end. So now I'm pissed, politically homeless, and unshackled from all the partisan BS. This is not my party. Brought to you by the Bulwark. Trump once said he could go out
and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters.
And well, Senate Republicans proved it, failing to convict him even after he incited a cop-killing riot on our Capitol. Republicans could have disqualified him from a future presidential run.
Disqualified.
And sent a signal to the world that we do not tolerate attacks on our democracy. But Republican senators couldn't bring themselves to do it because the GOP still belongs to DJT. To understand why this happened, you need to recognize that Republican voters still want their elected officials to be loyal to Trump. The question of how to deal with that pressure from voters is dividing the politicians into three groups. The MAGA KRAKEN, the pro-democracy Remnant, and the Fear Caucus. From the first group, we have these red-hatted wannabe autocrats who voted not guilty and would have been giddy if the Trump coup had worked. And suddenly, they're on the rise in this party. Next, there are the 7 people that voted their conscience despite what Republican voters wanted.
I voted to convict President Trump because he is guilty.
That's Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy, and that quote's gonna put him on the wrong side of his voters. The head of the Louisiana House GOP told him,
"Don't expect a warm welcome when you come home."
Sadly, he's right. I can confirm that Cassidy's gonna take a lot of shit at LSU tailgates next fall.
Boo, you suck.
Go Tigers. And that backlash from voters explains the actions of the largest and most nauseating group of Republican senators, the Fear Caucus. These are the ones who privately agree with Cassidy, but are scared of getting treated like this.
You are a traitor, Lindsey Graham.
Because most Republican voters still want Trump to run again in 2024. And the human embodiment of the Fear Caucus is their leader, Mitch McConnell. Mitch voted to acquit Trump, and then afterwards tried to save face with some finger wagging at the Donald. Mitch's excuse for voting not guilty was that the Senate couldn't convict somebody who had already left office. But here's the rub. Trump was impeached by the House on January 13th, 7 days before he left office. And during those 7 days, it was Mitch McConnell who made the Senate go on vacation so they couldn't convict him. So the Fear Caucus wants to sound real noble and constitutional when really they're just looking for an excuse to let Trump off the hook.
Pathetic.
But what about the Democrats? All of them did the right thing in voting to convict Trump, but they still acted like Democrats. That small group of pro-democracy Republicans gave the Democrats a gift by voting to let them have witnesses at the impeachment trial. House Republican Jamie Herrera Butler wanted to testify that she overheard Trump in a phone call defending the rioters while the Capitol was still under siege. They also could have brought Mike Pence to testify against the former boss who was happy to let him get hanged by domestic terrorists because he wouldn't try to steal the election. But no, the Democrats didn't call anyone to testify. They feel like they're up against the clock with a laundry list of policy promises and chose to move on to that after a brief vacation rather than keeping their boot on Trump's neck. So while they get an A for effort, and I was impressed with the performances of Raskin and Neguse, they left some unfinished business which might come back to haunt them if and when the dark Trump rises. We'll see you next week for more Not My Party.